Hello. How's everybody doing? We're in day one. Well, not really, I guess. It does feel like day one of a new era, though. I got to be honest with you. And I feel like there's a lot we can learn and talk about and discuss, maybe some history to look into. And in case you live under a Minecraft block, Donald Trump won yesterday. We don't know the House yet, but the Senate, popular vote, and the presidency, thus leading to a bit of a American vibe shift. And then we are going today try to figure out what kind of policy that means and what that may impact our American lives over the next 4 years. So, we also have to watch Kamala Harris's concession speech. I did not watch it yet. This is her last major speech in my prediction. Seeing as how she did not win a primary, she doesn't really have a huge base behind her. And I very much doubt after the result of this election that people are going to be clamoring to run her again in any key office. So,
over the 107 days of this campaign, we have been intentional about building community and building coalitions. I'm
not trying to kick someone while they're down. I'm not. Again, I did vote for Harris here, but the coalition that was built was against you. She should do a last minute. Just in the middle of the speech, just be like, I'll make gas free. I'll make gas free. Free gas. Free gas. One more vote. Run it back. One more vote. Gas is free. Oh, I swear to God, shit might work.
The important thing is don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever stop trying to make the world a better place.
I like that too.
You have power, and don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before.
I like that too. That's better than I thought. I don't know, not terrible. The parts I liked were about don't despair, fight's not done, etc., etc. Everything else was normal. What was Bernie's statement? Bernie had a statement. It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Everyone's actually a single issue voter, and that issue is their money. I would say anyone that feels like they're getting poorer, even if they're doing well, if they feel like they're getting poorer, that becomes the only issue. I promise you that. I think we over talk about how it's like the poor struggling worker. It's like if you're a car dealer owner, you might feel like it's getting harder. Perhaps it is, but once that's your issue, that becomes it. Again, I've been sounding this alarm for a long time and I've been talking about this. My concern, and this is what we're gonna watch with this election, this is what's so important to me. I'm gonna do a lot of videos about this. I already have editors compiling all of the times that Trump said, I will fix this so easily and so quickly. I almost want to speak to some people that voted Trump in here. Here's the deal. If that was your main issue, if you're like, hey, bro, I'm pissed about jobs and the economy and I'm pissed about gas prices, don't blame you, bro. I actually found it to be very insulting that, Biden and that establishment kept saying how good things were. It's just not the case. However, the reason I voted Harris is not because of any of the talking points of her party or Democratic establishment. It's because I think people never imagined it could get worse. People never imagine like, oh, the economy's bad, we need someone else. It's like status quo or bad. It could go worse. You will never think it could be that two options. It's either like status quo is bad so it can get better. I'm of the opinion he will not fix these problems. I'm of the opinion he got a pretty easy ride in 2016 to 2019. No major challenges that he had to overcome. And then when he had his first one, 2020, which was COVID, he handled it, I think, pretty poorly. I think, there's a lot of people that voted against him in 2020 that voted for him now. Felt the same. They didn't like how he applied COVID. So what I think is going to happen, and we're going to find this out, I think, relatively quickly, is that he's not going to be able to solve the problems he said he's going to solve. Now we're in the honeymoon phase. This is the honeymoon phase where it's just Trump, let's go. We got to give it a few months for that to die down because this is like when everyone thought Obama would fix all the problems in the world. Once you have that big landslide election, they're just a roaring wave of support. Now, I just want to tell you, I want to speak almost to Trump voters, like just to keep your mind open, bro. Because here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to flash forward exactly 1 year from now. You can almost clip this. And there's going to be people who agreed with me. Right now, the economy's bad, bro. Even if the stock market's up, like regular people are getting screwed. And in 1 year, they're going to be like, the economy's great, bro. Look at the stock market. He's crushing and everything is so good and you don't understand it. I feel like people are going to some of them are going to flip and they're going to flip their exact argument, even though they agree with me now. And I'm going to stay standing. I'm going to say the same. And I think it's going to become more clear over not even 4 years. I think 1.5, 2 years that he's ill-equipped to fix the real serious problems that America is facing from all fronts. And when that happens, I just want you to keep your mind open. I just want you to keep your mind open that there's other options in the world, because there's going to be a lot of psyops the way there is now. There's going to be a lot of trying to convince you that something else is at fault, and it's fine, everything's good. That's my take. I want to show you a little bit of history. So if you guys know, Donald Trump is the second ever non-consecutive two-term president, which means he won, then lost, then won. That only happened one other time. Other time was Grover Cleveland. I just thought I'd read more about Grover Cleveland, and I thought it was so interesting how history rhymes like this. Grover Cleveland becomes the first and so far only president to serve 2 non-consecutive terms. His inaugural address focuses on tariffs, sound currency, and civil service reform. Interesting, right? Anyway, perhaps you don't study American economic history, but if you want to know what happens when Grover Cleveland came into office in his second term, the nation entered the most severe depression in its history. Anyway, after his term, they threw him and his party the fuck out. So what I want you to understand is, like, a lot of you are like, oh my God, it's over. It's now Trump's in power and the Republican Party will win forever and ever and ever. But if you look at American history, we've had ups and downs like this all the time. And if he does a bad job, which I am convinced that he would. Again, if you are against Trump and he does a great job, well, then that's why. If he does a great job, then I'm going to support him. But I think realistically, he's not going to. He's not going to solve the problems he says he's going to solve. And it's certainly not going to be quickly and easily. I just want us to be realistic about how things can actually change rather quickly in future elections if he doesn't live up to his promises, which I think he won't. You know what it reminds me of exactly is when I made that video when Elon Musk first bought Twitter. And I said, bro, let's give him a shot. It can't get any worse. You can go find the video. I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to keep an open mind. But we're compiling all the promises. We're getting a supercut of all the quickly and easily promises. And I want you to watch that honestly and be like, and take a look at the real world, whether they match up to what you're seeing on the ground as a human being. There was a couple people saying about how like Trump might take credit for what Biden has done. Listen, I could be wrong about this, but Biden hasn't done anything yet. So far, all we've done is government print like crazy to keep the asset market up. It's the same playbook that Trump had in COVID, same playbook that Obama had in 2008. Just understand that there is a huge, huge gap in this country right now between people that own assets and people that don't. If you own assets, it has felt really good for you. That's why some people just don't even understand if you tell them the economy's bad or that like it's getting tougher for people. People are noticing problems. And again, I have friends. You know, I'm a well-off streamer in LA. I know some people that just don't get it. I can't explain it to them. As far as they can tell, everything's up. But it's because they have so many. If you own a bunch of assets, it just feels like things are all green, bro. But if you don't, that doesn't benefit you all. Seeing that stuff rise does not benefit you in any way, and you are noticing. Especially if you don't already own a house, you're trying to get a house. You don't already have a paid off car, you're trying to get a car. You don't already own, you have to buy some things on credit card every now and then. Your rates are high. You notice that everything you used to buy is a little bit more expensive. And even if your wages are rising, you have a reference price in your head. You think burritos shouldn't cost $18. Okay? That's your reference price. This is why people are angry. And again, what's the problem is when you say this is why people are angry, that's why they voted Trump. People in their minds think of someone they know who voted Trump because they're just a hateful person or someone who's really. But you have to understand that is actually a smaller percent than you think. But I think I'm not trying to get all fourth turning here, but if you look at history, there's a lot of history of cycles like this where good leaders do step up in times that they're needed. What's the one sum it up? I mean, the great example that I've been going back to over and over again is how FDR, who was not a well-known politician, FDR was not somebody who was like guaranteed the presidency or anything. In fact, he didn't do that well in school, I believe. And, his early political career didn't take off that well. People thought he was kind of a dud. And he stepped up in a major way in the aftermath of a terrible Hoover administration and the beginning of the Great Depression. And he helped pull America out of it and do some radical changes that benefited the middle class, workers' rights, pro-union. He picked a good team around him. This stuff happens in the aftermath of bad moments. Can we force the three-party system now? Even this has happened in American history. When the two parties usually it's around like a singular issue, but like when they get too far from something that's important to regular people, a third party will rise up and at least course correct politics. Xi Jinping, what did he say? Oh my God, he's in the What's Up Beijing room. China says it hopes for a peaceful coexistence with the United States. We respect the choice of the American people. I mean, what is he going to say? Anything else? Was Xi Jinping going to go out and say, we don't respect the choice of the American people? We are going to subvert your democracy? What the fuck are they going to say? We want a warlike coexistence with the United States? Anything other than this statement would be like so out of the norm. He respects Trump. We will once again have a dialogue with adverse countries again now that our president isn't a potato. I understand that that is a position that some people take. I think we got to wait and see here, buddy. I'll tell you that even as a Trump fan, you may admit he's got a soft spot for flattery. And in the past, he often walks out of these meetings with the leaders really not pushing back much on the things they want. China's relative strength compared to the United States was highest in 2019. COVID set them back, but 2019 they were actually really shockingly close economically, and I think Xi Jinping played that little tit for tat trade war with Trump pretty well. I would just keep an eye open. I think he is like surface level strong, but he doesn't have the thing where you have a long-term goal, and you keep working at it. He doesn't like have a big plan that he's like, that's my opinion of, he seems very, 1 week can change his mind, like whatever. That's my opinion of how I've seen him negotiate. And he's really concerned about how he looks in a meeting. So like if you toss him something symbolic, let's say for example that China wanted to occupy a military port in North Africa or something. If they wanted to set up a military port there and they were taxing soybeans or tariffing American soybeans. If Xi Jinping says, you know what, I'll offer you the removal of the soybeans, but we get the port, then Trump would get a big headline win. And he would take that for the optics. That's how I saw him negotiate, which is like, he's more concerned with getting something that looks good. That's my thought on how he did it the first time, but we'll see. I certainly don't talk about Joe Biden like he's the world's greatest negotiator. You know what bothers me more though is I think Trump just really doesn't see the advantages of having allies. He just doesn't seem to give a shit that America has this incredible, really power over Europe. He doesn't seem to care. And like, we're gonna miss that when it's gone, I promise you. Once Europe realizes they no longer have a friend in America and they can't rely on them, they're gonna reopen ties with Russia to get energy, and they're gonna start trading a lot with China, and then they're gonna realize we don't need America. Like that's what it's now on Trump. That's the thing. That's what it's all about. That's the video I'm working on. Is just like, it's on him now. It's like, we gotta watch. America has to watch, and he's got free reign, carte blanche to do what he said he's gonna do. Let's see it. Enough of the back and forth, enough of the blame game. Let's just see it, bro. Is it reasonable to be optimistic for the midterms to improve things? Oh yeah. Yes, of course. Of course. That is my core point. My core point is that it's 100% reasonable to be optimistic. It's very normal that if the things go badly, like if the decisions they make don't work, people will want change. That is my core thesis. And you're going to hear from some doomers that think it's impossible, but I think they're ill aware of history. What guardrails do we have stopping now? He's got the Senate, take Congress, and the highest court of the land. How do we listen, if somebody wins by this much, people of America in democracy want him to implement what he wants to. There's a huge popular vote. They want him to do it. And the point is not to stop it. The point is to look at it accurately and see if it's actually helping. And if it's not, make that case clear so that in 2 years for midterms and in 4 years, ideally with some better candidates and better messaging and way less of the political class that has too much influence in the DNC, then you can see a change. But the idea of like trying to subvert it is the wrong idea. The idea is to let him try it. This is a big part of like why I was mad about the French elections, and why if there's this huge popular swell movement for something they think's gonna fix the problem, doing every trick in the book to stop them from trying it doesn't work. It just delays the problem. They're gonna get more and more power, and then they're gonna sweep in. They have to see it doesn't work. They have to see it doesn't work. Like, we have to see what it's like having RFK as health minister. We've got to experience that firsthand for people to be like, wait, I don't want that. Wait, this actually sucks. You have to experience it. I'm sorry. You have to get the tooth decay. You have to have your teeth rot out. It's a canon event. And I'm talking about this like historically. Like, again, I keep going back to the fourth turning, but it has really persuasive examples from history of how we learn things in human generations and then slowly unlearn them over the next 80 years. We'll learn a visceral truth. For example, around the Great Depression, we learned a lot about how the Gilded Age of the 20s and the Great Depression. We learned a lot about how, the elite class suck up all of the money and how we have to have more equitable taxes. We have to break up monopolies. We learn these things. We entrench them in stone. And we have decades of enforcing antitrust and have these real things. And then it fades. And then we forget why we had those rules and we slowly repeal them and we bend them back. And then it gets worse and worse and worse. And then eventually we have to learn it again. There's just no other way around it. You have to learn these things with some kind of real world example. And then it sticks. What's the book called? It's called The Fourth Turning by Neil Howe. He also has some great talks if you want to listen to him before you jump into a long book.